These features could have served as game changers. Literally. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 biggest cut content from video games. For this list, we're looking at some of the most significant development plans that were axed during production of our favorite games. Note that we're only including content that had the potential to change their game or franchise's futures had they been left in.
It's malfunctioning. Did you break my stealth drive?
Before we continue, we'll be doing a deep dive on this list's #1 entry over on Mojo Plays, so be sure to check it out once you've finished watching. Number 10. Game Boy Camera Implementation, Perfect Dark.
We programmed the cleaning bot. It'll give you a way in. Received.
At one point, Perfect Dark almost had a nifty feature involving the Game Boy camera. Yeah, remember that ancient piece of tech? Originally, Rare would have let players use the camera to take pictures of their friends and put them over character models in the game.
I was using the Game Boy camera to map any player's face onto any character in the game, and that was like really cutting edge stuff at the time.
Unfortunately, tragedy had struck the world during the game's development, the Columbine High School massacre. Fearing that some players would use the feature for cruel intentions, Rare opted to scrap the feature completely. Had they released Perfect Dark with the feature, Nintendo and Rare possibly would have found themselves in deep PR trouble.
Which never ended up in the final game, unfortunately.
Number 9. The Stormcloak / Imperial War, The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim.
Welcome to the Legion Auxiliary. Listen up. Ulfric's right-hand man, Galmar Stonefist, has located what he believes is the final resting place of the Jagged Crown.
It's hard to believe that a game as big as Skyrim could have any cut content, and yet there are some things that didn't make it into the final build. The war between the Stormcloaks and Imperials, for example, was one of the biggest, as the original version was going to be far more complex than the finished version.
As Talos is my witness, may this oath bind me to death and beyond.
With a deeper story and more missions, this was going to be a major focus in Skyrim's story. However, it ended up on the cutting room floor because, again, the game was already freaking huge. It is possible to access this part of the game though, as modders have finished what was left over.
In appreciation for your exemplary service, I am doubling your pay and compensation to the widows of your fallen comrades.
Number 8. All Bond Mode, GoldenEye 007. For a time, this was believed to be only an April Fool's joke from EGM magazine, but as technology has progressed, the gaming community has been able to dig into files of games and discover more secrets. As it turns out, Bond Mode was actually a legitimate feature in GoldenEye at one point. If you never heard of this, Bond Mode would have allowed players to play as all but one of the Bond actors: Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, and Pierce Brosnan. However, the feature had to be removed from the final game, as according to writer David Doak, Connery refused to allow his likeness to be used in the game. Number 7. Samus and Link, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Yeah, there was a point in time where Link and Samus Aran could have teamed up with the likes of Spider-Man and Wolverine. During development of the first Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Activision requested Vicarious Visions to assemble a demo to show to Nintendo, most likely believing this could help them secure Link and Samus as guest characters for the Wii version of the game. On the contrary, Nintendo wasn't too thrilled and demanded the characters be removed.
And I called in a few old friends to help us out. Feel free to walk around and meet them.
The demo was captured on a PlayStation 2, so maybe there was some miscommunication?
It's amazing what you can do with just a few $1 billion.
Number 6. An unintended cliffhanger, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver.
Be warned, Raziel. Once you cross this threshold, you are beyond my influence.
We could understand if players were upset over the second Legacy of Kain's ending. It left things open and almost felt like an advertisement for a third game. Hey, just like Halo 2. However, this was not the plan during development. In addition to more powers and levels, Soul Reaver was going to be given a proper ending, but said ending was axed due to Crystal Dynamics running out of development time.
Welcome, time-span soul. Welcome to your destiny.
And so, the game received one hell of an open ending. Halo 2 suffered a similar fate as the game was forced to release earlier than anticipated, or else development would have taken far longer than it did.
What is Halo's purpose?
Collectively, the 7...
Not another word!
Number 5. Lost Endings. Twisted Metal.
Cut the formalities. I want my prize. Now you pay up, Calypso.
Strange. It says here, you are only asking for this.
While character endings would become a series mainstay since Twisted Metal 2, the very first Twisted Metal was originally planned to have live-action endings. Needless to say, these endings were not good.
Tell me it's here, and tell me no one's heard it. I told the government I'd get it back to them.
Most were poorly acted, poorly written, or just plain terrible, and so the endings were cut just before the game shipped. The funny thing is that Twisted Metal went on to win a few awards, including Game of the Year from Electronic Gaming Monthly, and saw massive success during the PS1's lifetime. So had creators David Jaffe and Scott Campbell left the endings in, would Twisted Metal have garnered the same amount of praise and success?
Set things straight. An interesting request.
I lost them all. 25 good men, and I sent them straight into an enemy trap.
Number 4. Stop and Swap. Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. A weird feature of the Nintendo 64 was that older models had the ability to retain data for roughly 10 seconds after a cartridge was removed, and Rare found a way to give players more content by utilizing this. By swapping Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie from the console, players could transfer secret items they found from Kazooie into Tooie. Unfortunately, before Banjo-Tooie's release, Nintendo had put out a new model of the N64 that shortened the duration of the retained data to just 1 second, which made it impossible for Stop and Swap to be implemented into Banjo-Tooie. This wouldn't be the only clever idea to be cut from the games. Seriously, that Bottle's Revenge co-op mode would have been cool had it found its way into Banjo-Tooie. Number 3. Pressure System. BioShock. Any artist and entertainer will tell you that a finished product does not always resemble the original idea. BioShock is a prime example of this, as the game once had an entire system planned revolving around atmospheric pressure. Enemies and characters would be granted different buffs and debuffs depending on the condition of the environment. While Irrational Games did get the feature working at one point, they removed the system as it caused way too many design flaws and would have detracted from the moods set by the environments. In short, there were simply too many sacrifices for a mechanic as complex as it was.
I can see light coming from his belly. Wait a minute, he's still breathing.
Number 2. A whole other game. Destiny.
No. I was not forged in light. But I believe where our paths cross, ground could break.
Destiny wasn't exactly an instant hit when the first game launched in 2014. While many fans and critics found its gameplay fun and exciting, many felt that the story was muddled with a vague narrative and characters with one-note personalities. Turns out, this was the result of rushed development. Surprise, surprise.
So, think you can kill a god?
Don't think I have a choice.
The higher-ups at Bungie were none too pleased with the original story state, claiming it was too campy and proceeded to remove and rewrite plot threads. Oh, and all of this was done less than a year before the game launched.
The statues are for the dead. And I always hoped you were not among them.
Before we reveal our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Stormy Ascent, Crash Bandicoot, because the level was too damn hard. Dunktality, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, because NBA doesn't like controversial ninjas in their basketball game, even if it's the 3rd rendition.
Rejected! Scorpion. He's heating up!
Undead King Jairo, Dark Souls, because we totally didn't need another boss to whoop our butts. Want more video game content? Check out our gaming channel Mojo Plays and discover games and ideas you never knew existed. With more lists, breakdowns, and our latest series, Arcade Roulette.
Justin and John are in!
Oh.
Hey, is that Porky Pig? There's a lot of things being ripped off in this game.
Number 1. Episode 51. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
We've tracked down Eli and his men. They've spread the parasite across the island. It won't affect you if your voice hasn't broken, so they're safe, for now.
One of the biggest complaints about MGS5 was how the game closed the entire series while leaving a few loose ends open. With series creator Hideo Kojima and publisher Konami having a bad fallout, we'll never get a proper ending to the series, and what makes it worse is that we could have been provided a proper ending had Konami given Kojima more time to work on the game. Those who purchased the collector's edition were given access to deleted content, and among that content was a series of unfinished cinematics for Episode 51, a segment of the game that would have answered enough questions while bringing the series to a full circle.
Blame me.
If you want to know why we chose our number 1 pick for this list, head over to Mojo Plays and watch our in-depth analysis of the entry. Check the link in the description below.